Hello everyone! So, as some of you may know, I recently put out a video showcasing my experience with playing Composer for the first time. In that video, towards the beginning of it, I stated that I've actually been playing Composer a lot more than, just the filming of said video, which was about 2 weeks ago at the time of posting it. And I actually do consider myself to be quite good at him. As such, I spitballed the idea of maybe making a tips and tricks video on how to better play him, and a few people responded in the comments saying that they actually would be pretty interested in that idea. So today I'm going to try and vocalize some tips and strategies for playing the newest survivor, Composer. Before I get into that though, I do want to preface this video with the fact that I am a very casual Identity V player, and these tips and tricks are what work for me personally and my playstyle. These may not necessarily be tips that are universal, let alone viable for things such as high-level ranking or competitions. I also have never tried to make a video like this before, so if I get any information incorrect, or you just disagree with my tips, please don't be afraid to comment, and, other people looking for alternative takes can see what you have to say. With that said, let's get into it. So let's start off with Composer's traits. These are a mouthful, but I promise they are way more simple than they sound. First and foremost, he has tuning. He carries a tuning fork. The Composer can tune out the noises in his thoughts by striking the tuning fork to clear his mind. His movements are more agile within the tuning area. Once the Composer strikes the tuning fork, a tuning area will emerge for 0.7 seconds, and 6 tunings will be activated consecutively. For each successful tuning, the same tuning area will emerge. The Composer's movement speed is increased by 50% within the tuning area. Basically, all that's saying is, when you press your main ability, the tuning fork, you will have a 6 consecutive notes to hit, and hitting them will increase your movement speed by 50%. And then of course there's Sweet. Various movements resonate with the Composer's mind to guide his emotions. When the Composer decodes a cipher machine, 3 different movements resonate in his mind to trigger tunings in line with the tempo. He can also switch movements to adjust the tuning rate. For each successful tuning, the Composer obtains a stack of tonal sensation. For each failed tuning, he loses a stack of tonal sensation until he has a 0 stack. Each stack of tonal sensation increases the Composer's decoding speed by 0.25%. Now he also has 3 movements. Grave, low calibration rate, up to 70 consecutive stacks of tonal sensation. Largo, medium calibration rate, with up to 80 stacks of tonal sensation. And Andante, high calibration rate, with, again, up to 80 stacks of tonal sensation. Now, that all sounds like a lot, but basically, what all this is saying is when you decode the cipher machine, you're going to have that rhythm game, and you can pick at the bottom. Now, I am a PC player, so for mobile players, this, may be different, but on PC, you will have the comma, the period, and the slash, and those are your 3 movements, Grave, Largo, and Andante, and you can switch between them. I usually play on Largo, the middle setting, because it is what is easiest for me. If you are not very good at rhythm games, or you're first learning, it's okay to start out on Grave. But once you get used to it, I would recommend switching to Largo or Andante for that extra 10 stacks and high to medium calibration rate of the rhythm game, essentially going faster. To me, Grave is a little too slow that it's actually easier to mess up. And Andante is definitely doable, but faster, so that middle ground Largo is what works best for me. But if you are playing him in competition or in a high-level rank and you absolutely want to be the best you can possibly be and you're good at the rhythm game, then bump that up to Andante just for that, extra calibration rate. Then of course there's Harmonize. When the Composer decodes a cipher machine within the hunter's terror radius, he can see the hunter's location. Pretty straightforward on that one. You're decoding and there's a hunter near you, you can figure it out. And then of course there is Pianissimo. The Composer will not trigger any other form of calibration to remove all interference from other noises. So basically you will not have those normal calibrations like you would on other characters. It's just that rhythm game. And then here's another last one little important thing is that if the Composer's tuning is failed 3 consecutive times while decoding a cipher machine, his location will be revealed to the hunter. Now I know that sounds pretty scary. I think that makes people a little too scared to, mess up with him, but I am gonna put it out right now that has never come to bite me. Now, that may just be my experience with it, but by the time you've failed 3 consecutive times, the hunter is either already chasing you and you weren't even on a cipher machine, like you didn't even get a chance to do it. The hunter found you first and you're already kiting, or the hunter is already chasing someone else and they are not going to take the time to stop what they're doing and come get you unless you're in the immediate area. So I think that keeping the combo really scares a lot of people away from Composer. But, you know, if you mess up 3 times, you mess up 3 times, just keep going and, you know, don't fret over it, would be my advice. Now, in terms of actually playing Composer, I think, like I was saying before, a lot of people get very, very scared about keeping that combo. They think that, you know, the combo is everything. And, you know, to some degree, it is very important to try and keep that tonal sensation, those stacks up, and, you know, get that decoding speed increase. But at the same time, it is not everything. I know the rhythm game is very fun, but in my opinion, as a Composer main, it is kind of the least of your concerns, because you still need to be pinging, you need to be looking around, you need to, you know, if someone comes for healing, you need to still heal them. You know, if you're against a feaster or an axe boy or someone with things that you can dismantle, you still need to be aware of those. And don't be afraid to break your combo. Oftentimes, I know it's frustrating when you get that, like, you get that 80, that 90 combo, and you're super excited to keep it going, but, you know, if something happens, don't be afraid to break off of your cipher. And especially when a hunter is nearby, do not be afraid to break that combo and get out of there. Because I see so many composers when they play, they're like, oh, but my combo's so high and the cipher machine's almost done, and they try to press it and they end up getting terror shocked. So don't be afraid to be a coward, and don't be afraid to break your combo or break off of a cipher. Because I think that gets a lot of people nervous. They're like, oh, but I've got my stack so high, I don't want to mess it up. Yeah, I know it's a bummer, but, you know, at the end of the day, you are playing Identity 5, not a rhythm game. You know, you're playing a rhythm game in Identity 5, but that is not the main point. You're still playing a team game, so you need to be a team player, and sometimes that means losing your combo. Tragic, I know, but that is probably the #1 tip I can give to people who want to play Composer is you can be a coward and you can give up your combo. You will get it back so quickly. One thing is, Composer right now only has 2 different songs. I don't know if in the future they will add more, but you can also toggle them and only play one or the other. So, you know, if there's a song you like more or a song you find easier to play of the 2, you know, just play that one song over and over and over again, and eventually you'll start to just kind of autopilot it. It really will become much easier to continue to play that over and over and over again. The more you play Composer, the better you are going to get at his rhythm game, because in my initial video, there are parts where, you know, I start talking and cuts me off. Like I break my combo because I forget what I'm supposed to be doing and I distract myself with my own words. But, you know, now I'm on Discord calls, watching YouTube videos in the background, playing Composer and getting, you know, 100 combos, no problem, because I'm against a photographer, and when they reset the progress, you know, you just keep going. So really, just the more you play him, the better you will get at that rhythm game. If it is giving you difficulty, just, you know, start at a lower or middle setting with that movement and work your way up. Another thing is with the tuning fork. I see a lot of composers, it's so exciting to get that speed boost. It really is. It's fun. Don't use it until you need to, though. In my initial video where I'm playing Composer for the first time, I'm using it every time it's up, just cause it's so fun and I want to get somewhere quicker. But, you know, it's very similar to, for example, Entomologist's Bees, where it's like, yes, you do get that, you know, exhilarating speed boost, you do get across the map quicker, but at what cost? Because then, you know, when you need it, it's not going to be up, or it's going to, you know, be, in the case with the bees, obviously this is different, but it's going to be lower duration. But there's not a duration on the tuning fork. It's a permanent item, but it is going to have that cooldown that is going to still be ticking down when you need it most. So I'd say be careful with your tuning fork. When I use my tuning fork to transition kite. Predominantly, that is what I believe the tuning fork is made for. You know, if you are caught in an open area, in a bad kiting area, use it to get to somewhere where you can kite. You also can use it if, you know, you really need to get to a chair on time, if you have to rescue someone, like if you're in that dire situation where, you know, someone's across the map and you have to rescue them. You can use it. I mean, I don't recommend rescuing as composer at all, but, you know, it will still happen occasionally, so that's another use of it. But generally, I only use that tuning fork to, you know, transition kite. Like, you don't want to rely on it too much. You want to have it when you need it, but you don't want to just be using it every single time it's up. You want to curate your experience with it. I will say beware of hunters like Naiad, like Axe Boy, like Clown, any of the ones that have that speed boost. They can catch up to you with your tuning fork, no problem. With other characters that can't, you're gonna be out of there in no time, but with characters, especially Naiad, every time I play against Naiad, they're right on me using that tuning fork. So don't rely on it too much for anything other than transitioning. Now, of course, you know, there are always crazy situations that are, you know, where it's perfectly good to use it. You know, so like going for a dungeon. If you're the last survivor and you need to make it to a dungeon quickly, you know, obviously use logic where it's applicable. But with the tuning fork, I would say mostly conserve it for transition kiting. You don't need to use it to get to that cipher a little bit faster unless it's like, you know, a primed cipher and it's insane or whatever. Like, be conservative with it. On the topic of priming ciphers, a lot of people don't like having composers in their team because composers get too into the rhythm game and they forget to prime the last cipher and they just pop it. Don't be that guy. Be very aware. Pay so much attention, especially when you get down to those last 3 ciphers. That's when I start to really hone in. Like, always be checking up on the screen where it says how many ciphers are left, because you do not want to be the composer who sets off that last cipher and makes everyone mad at you. Be aware. Be very aware. It's like I was saying before, do not be afraid to break your combo. Do not be afraid to pull off the cipher. Just do what you need to do to play as you would any other character. I think people get way too caught up in the rhythm game aspect of it because, again, it is fun and it is, you know, its own little thing that no one else really has. But at the end of the day, you are still playing Identity 5. Just be super duper aware of ciphers. And, you know, prime like normal. I know it's a little scary to pull off at the right time, but just, you know, be normal about it. Do it as you would any other cipher prime and pop. It's not going to, it's really not that hard, I promise. It's way easier than it seems. It's just like normal. Just pay extra close attention to how many ciphers have and have not been popped. All right, now let's talk about Persona Web. So with Composer, and with Persona Webs in general, they've recently completely overhauled the Persona Web. And to be honest, I didn't really pay that much attention to all the changes they made. I probably should have. This makes this video seem a lot less credible. But in general, I would say run, of course, Borrowed Time, as you should on almost everyone. That one's, you know, a given. But I would say that Composer is absolutely best with Broken Windows. Due to the nature of his character and how strong of a kiter he really can be if you use that tuning fork properly, especially those last cipher pop speed boosts, he's completely uncatchable, you know, except by those Naiads and those Axe Boys who can speed up. But really, you should go full kiter on this guy. You should not worry about rescuing. You should focus on decoding and, you know, kiting if it comes to it. But really, I do not recommend running Tide Turner on him. Flywheel, you can, but I do think Broken Windows is the much better option. I think a lot of people don't expect Composer to survive as long as he does. So I definitely do think that Borrowed Time is a must, because usually I see composers lasting the whole match. I mean, a couple of them will get out early if they're not strong kiters on their own, but if you can kite average to normal levels of kiting, definitely you can survive the whole match with Composer. With that tuning fork, if you keep transitioning, they're never gonna catch you. So just rely on either either taking one for the team and kiting the entire match or decoding the entire match. You don't need to worry about rescuing unless it absolutely comes to it, in which case, you know, you're probably at a lot. It's probably a lost match anyway at that point if it comes to the point that you have to rescue. So I would say unless you are so good of a kiter that you're never ever gonna need broken windows, like you're just a natural prodigy, then I would say always broken windows. I mean, if you want to run Tide Turner, you are welcome to. Don't take me saying don't do it as the gospel. It is not. If you want to run Tide Turner, you are absolutely welcome to, because I do think I see a world in which his tuning fork, you know, getting quick to chairs to rescue could be a viable strat, but I do not think it is the main strat that you want to go for with him. So, you know, full kiter, full decoder. Don't focus on rescuing unless it comes to it. Now, of course, don't be a horrible teammate who never ever rescues if everyone else is down and, you know, whatever. But do not make rescuing your priority. Do not rescue unless you are literally pushed into it. Because to be a good team player as composer, you need to be decoding or kiting, essentially. That's how I see it, is if you are not decoding or you are not currently kiting as composer, something has gone wrong. The match is going downhill at that point. That's how I prefer to see it. So I would say run 3 and 9 with composer. That said, all of the other little in-betweens, that's kind of up to you at your discretion. I would say put anything into decoding or kiting or getting away faster. He's a very fast character with that tuning fork, so if you can boost that speed even more, go for it. Just be as tricky to catch as you possibly can. I'll of course show my Persona web, but this is just what I like to run. And again, I haven't really checked through the Persona web since it got updated. This was just kind of haphazard, but it works very well for me, so you are welcome to replicate this, but you know, at your discretion. I'm sure there are plenty of other sources to find what they recommend, and also you can always just use your own discretion, but I'd say anything that just makes him, you know, uncatchable are great traits to run. I don't know, this video isn't very put together because I scripted the first half and then just started talking for the second half, but I will say that I think Composer is a very fun and very viable character, but don't play him if you don't enjoy him. Don't force yourself to, you know, learn the rhythm game if you don't enjoy it. There are always other decoders, there are always other characters, and I think that, for example, Prisoner is a character that does very similar things differently. You know, you can still play a very fast decoder, or a strong kiter, or, you know, whatever, if that's what interests you. Don't force yourself to play Composer because, oh, he's the new character, he's the new big thing, or whatever. I think a lot of people get so caught up on that rhythm game. They really do. I think that's the main drawback for Composer, is his biggest ability of uniqueness is also his drawback when it comes to people picking him, because I think people want to play a rhythm game. And if that's the case, go for it. There are plenty of rhythm games out there. But at the end of the day, you are playing Identity 5 still, and I think people forget that when they play Composer. And I think that's what causes the big drawback. You still need to be pinging, you still need to be paying attention to your teammates, you still need to be able to kite. You know, you're not always going to get to just decode and play that rhythm game, as fun as it is. Oh, and one more tip about pinging is when you're mid-song, when you're, you know, decoding just on your own and you don't want to break that combo because there's no reason to break it, if you need to ping your cipher progress, or which is very important, I still recommend pinging it. I recommend pinging your cipher progress always. You should always ping for your teammates. I say that so often. Please ping every time you can. But of course, there is a lot of lenience with Composer specifically because when you're decoding, it is very hard to ping. What I recommend is wait till there's gaps in the songs. Like I said before, he only has 2 songs and you can set it to only play one of them. So, you know, if you just get used to when there's going to be gaps in the songs, ping during those gaps, because those are what are going to make your teammates trust you as a composer, I feel like, because like I said, so many composers get caught up and they forget to prime, or they forget to ping, or they forget to pay attention. So just that proof that you are aware of your own cipher's percentage is going to make your teammates trust in you immediately soar higher. So, ping right when you get on a cipher. Obviously, if you're kiting, ping is normal, but when it comes to pinging your cipher percentage, ping when there are gaps in the song, because there are so many times that I will be on a cipher and someone will come up to me and, decode with me, or like pop a little graffiti next to me, and it's so cute and I want to graffiti back. And then I end up messing up my combo because I tried to, change it up. So just do stuff like that during breaks in the songs, or especially if you're playing with both songs active, when one ends before it transitions to the other. That's the greatest time to ping or put down a graffiti. But again, at the end of the day, don't be afraid to break your combos either. I mean, it is a downfall. You are going to lose some of that decoding speed. You are going to have to start at 0 stack again. You are going to have to build that combo back up. And again, if you do miss 3 consecutive times, you will be located by the hunter, or you will be able to be seen by the hunter. But again, that has never actually come to harm me, really. And again, that may just be my experience, but in terms of it sounds so much scarier than it is, because usually the hunter is busy. Remember, this is a 4v1. The hunter is doing so much other stuff if they're not already targeting you. So I would say just be aware of doing it super early. Just don't miss the first 3 notes. But yeah, so sorry, this kind of turned into a ramble. I was going to initially script this video, and I scripted the first little bit, but then I just got off on a tangent. So I may be wrong about some of this stuff. I was kind of just talking to talk. But you guys wanted some tips and tricks, and these are what makes it easiest for me to play Composer. I think, again, big thing, the biggest thing that you can walk away from this video with is you are still playing Identity 5. It is a rhythm game in a game, but you are still at the end of the day playing Identity 5. Play it as you normally would. I really can't give any tips to, be better at the rhythm game itself, because you just have to learn it. You just have to practice or have the natural ability to do it. I mean, I'm not very musically talented, but I'm pretty good at it now, so I think it really is just practice. It's not as hard as it looks. And there are a lot of, I didn't really go into this, but there are a lot of other, like, calibrations in the settings. I don't really understand that because I'm not very rhythm game or musically talented, like I said, but there are plenty of settings, so if you just mess with them, eventually you'll find something that works for you. And that's really what it is about, is finding something that works best for you. So this is what works best for me. This may not be what works best for everyone, but hey, it's Composer, and he's really fun. He really is. So if you enjoy playing him and you want to keep playing him, just practice. Really, I know that sounds so stupid to watch, however long this video is, and then have me just say, oh yeah, well, just practice. But that really is it with Composer. You're playing an Identity 5 character, just like normal. His biggest draw, I think, doesn't even come from his decoding. It comes from his tuning fork and his speed boost and his ability to transition kite super flawlessly, especially against slow hunters that don't have speed boosts. You are uncatchable if you're even just an average kiter. So definitely utilize that, just practice and know the tunes, know the speed that you like to play at, and work with it. Work with him, work with the game, and all will be good. So yeah, those are my tips. They're kind of a mess, kind of everywhere. I probably have more to say that I forgot about that I may add in the comments, or like a pinned comment if I think of anything else. But if you guys have any tips or tricks, and again, if you have any differing opinions or differing thoughts, feel free to leave those in the comments. But this was fun, and I've never done a video like this before, and it probably shows. And again, I'm not a pro player by any means. I'm like, I don't know, an elk or whatever. I'm not that great at the game. I haven't even played Composer in rank yet at the time of recording this. I may do it to get footage for this video, but I'm rambling like I always do. But the point is, Composer is really not as hard as he looks. You just have to get over that hump of like, oh, it's a rhythm game. Because again, you're just playing an Identity 5 character. It's the same as always. There's just a little twist to it, and once you get used to that twist, it's it's smooth sailing. He's a very fast decoder and a very, very, very good kiter, which you normally don't expect from decoders, because most of the decoders are bad or average kiters. But I think that he is one of, he has so much potential to be such a strong kiter and a strong force on the team, especially if you have a team in voice chat or something. But I definitely think he can carry matches for sure. So, you know, if you enjoy playing him, keep up with it. Keep practicing with him, because people need good composers. People need composers that don't pop the last cipher, that, you know, don't, you know, use their tuning fork at the wrong time, you know, don't try and steal rescues without tide for no reason, you know, play him as you would a decoder kiter, and just do your best. That's all anyone can ever ask from you, you know? I know this game's toxic, and I know people are gonna yell at you. Turn off post-match. That's what I did, and it worked wonders. That's my biggest tip for all of Identity 5 I can ever give anyone. Alright, yeah, this went on for way too long. But those are my composer's tips and tricks. Again, if I forget anything, I'll put it in the comments. And sorry this was kind of rambly and not really that professional, but hey, you guys asked for it from someone like me. This is what you're getting. Have a good holidays and all whatever's coming up next. I don't know. I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, and also pro tip, if you want to get composer gameplay for any reason, but you want the rhythm game in it, film the actual matches, because buddy boy, it doesn't show up the game on replays, and that kind of sucks when you're trying to make a composer video. You know, just go ahead and film those matches as they are, cause you're not gonna see your stacks, your combos, you're not gonna see those in the replay. Found that out the hard way when I tried to prove to someone that I got to 140. So just take my word for it. Take everyone's word for it, cause they don't show up the rhythm game in the replays, and that's a bummer. Oh my god, have I been recording for like 30 minutes? Okay, well, this is gonna be fun to edit. See you guys in the next one.